Hello and welcome back to On the Workbench. Today we're taking a look at the Proto 1/4 inch mini 120 degree angled die grinder. This is, you can see the part number on the screen. The specs are at 24,000 RPMs at 90 PSI with the equivalent horsepower of 0.3 and a weight of 1.2 pounds and a 360 degree rotating exhaust with tool-free air regulator control and a throttle with lockout and feather control. So here's where we get the box. It's your typical Proto brown box. Proto is owned by Stanley Black & Decker, and a lot of their products also appear in the Mac automotive tool range. Proto is more of an industrial line. You've probably seen a few other Proto tools on my channel. And so if you open up the box, let me cut open the side of the sticker here. There we go. And so here's the tool inside, and you can see we get the tool comes nicely wrapped in plastic. Set that down. We get an instruction manual, and we also have a set of wrenches for being able to install attachments into the die grinder. So let's set that aside and let's unwrap the die grinder. Nicely packed. This has your silica packet to keep moisture out, and so this has a nice rubber overmold on it, very similar to what you might find on a drill. It's nice and soft. And on the trigger back here, you can see the reddish orange color here, and this is the travel. You'd flip this forward to be able to activate the die grinder to get it rotating. And so you can see in my hand here, just a quick flip here, and this is a lockout here that you can't accidentally trigger it. You've got to purposely flip that forward to be able to activate it. So one of the things I like about this is the 120 degree head, as opposed to most of your die grinders are either straight, which is actually nice, but I feel like it's an odd working angle, or it's got the 90 degree head, and then my first finger here ends up being uncomfortably close to the rotating object that's right by it. And so that's why I really like this, because even if I reach out my first finger here, I can't even reach to the edge of the chuck here that holds, or the collet that holds the die stone, sanding disc, or whatever you want to put in there. And so I really like that, and you get the extra reach created by the angled head, so you can get deeper into something that you're trying to cut, spin, polish, or whatever you're working on with the die grinder. So at the other end of the tool, this is where the air is. And you can see there's the exhaust port here at the bottom, and this will rotate out of the way. So you can keep this out, and it comes with no air fitting, as most tools do. So you have to be able to supply your own air fitting that matches the air lines that are compatible with it. Here's the fitting I'm going to be using with it. This is from the Menards tool shop. This is the rotating swivel and plug. I love these, how it just helps to relieve the stress of the hose at the end of the tool. So as we look at the tool here, we've got our toolless adjustment here of the motor. And you can see there's a nice little adjustment here to be able to go from low to fast and then back down again to be able to help adjust our speeds. We've got an arrow here that indicates our direction of rotation. And this on the side indicates 90 PSI, 24,000 RPM, so it's a nice quick reference as you're setting the regulator on your shop air or on your compressor. And so I really like the rubber overmold on this to be able to keep your hands warm, because if you're putting a lot of air through this tool, you're going to need an appropriate size compressor. And the big thing with having that much air going through is the tool can cool off. It's got a nice positive grip, so you can grab it really easily and get a solid grip on the job that you're trying to do. Because after all, if you're using a tool like this, you're probably going to use it on a job. It's not just for decorative purposes. And so the other end, the business end of the tool, we've got a 1/4 inch collet. And the adjustment on this, you can see how I spin this here, is going to require both wrenches to be able to tighten this down. And so you can see the notches here for the wrench, and then on the rotating shaft there. And so that's where these two wrenches come in. These are just stamped metal wrenches, marked 11 and 17. So 11 millimeter and 17 millimeter. So the 11 millimeter one, it will slide on right here like this. And then the 17 millimeter one goes on right here, so you can tighten down the collet and adjust it. This only has one size, and that's a 1/4 inch collet. but we can spin it off. And let's see if we can... there's no indication that you can replace this with an 1/8 inch collet to use things like a Dremel-sized accessory, but I suppose we can pop it out just like that. And so if you could find a replacement collet that would hold an 1/8 inch or use an adapter, then you could slide in smaller sized ones. But the one thing, if you try to find a smaller sized appropriate accessory, the important thing is that it can withstand 24,000 RPMs at 0.3 horsepower, just so you don't accidentally have something flying off and risking further damage to what you're working on. Now, and this goes without saying, if you're using a tool like this, you should be wearing eye protection to protect yourself and gloves on your hand, just so you don't hurt yourself in what you're working on. Here we go for the dimensions on the tool here with a die stone installed. You can see some from front to back. We're looking at about 7.5 inches to the rear of the tool here and about 10 inches to the back of, at least in this case, this air port here. Now if we rotate the tool, here we look at the size or the depth of the 120 degree angle. You can see we've got about, let me put this on the other side here. Depending on how long your bit is, we've got a slightly, I don't know, about 3 inches of space this way that we can work for how deep we can go with the tool. And so I think that's nice. If you compare this to a 90 degree angle or even a straight die grinder, I think you'll find that 3 inches actually is quite a generous amount of space. And from my perspective, it keeps your fingers away from the rotating business end of the tool, which I think is very important. And the angle is just a nice, much more ergonomic angle to work at compared to the 90 and the 0 degree heads. So with all air tools like this, of course, you want to be able to oil and lubricate your tools. It does come pre-oiled from the factory, but make sure you're able to have the oil either in your air system or be able to have a few drops of air tool oil that you can drop in your tool, generally on a daily basis whenever you use it, just to keep it well lubricated and the air motor inside working properly. And looking at the instruction manual, they actually do sell a rebuild kit for this. Hopefully you won't need it right away, but if you need one, Proto does make one available, and then you can order that directly through Proto. Okay, with my safety glasses firmly on, what I've got here on my right is a decibel meter to be able to measure the sound level. You can hear while I'm talking. It's about 77 decibels here. The audio may come across slightly different on your computer. And now I've got the tool hooked up to my shop air here on the left. I've got a die stone involved, already loaded up. And now I just want to run the tool here right quick to be able to see what sound or how loud the tool is, just for your reference. So this is with the sound meter right by the end of the tool. 1, 2, 3. So we're getting up around 84 decibels. If you look at the rear of the tool and the air control, our maximum speed is going to be achieved when it's right here in the middle. And you go to either side here, left or right, it's always going to be reducing the speed of the tool and therefore the noise. So we can turn it down by going to the left or to the right, but the rotation always remains constant in a clockwise manner when you're looking at the tool. So if we look at this and I turn it to the right, and you can still see the sound meter there. See that sounds a little bit lower. Turn it back up. That's on max. And then turn it all the way down. And you can see the sound there. So this is a look at the Proto 120 degree angled die grinder. I hope you found this video useful and have a great day. Bye.